is 16th Shaban, which is 19th of March in the English calendar. 11 p.m. Saudi time. 11 p.m. Saudi time. Barakallahu feekum. So this is your first test. Inshallah, it is easy, don't worry. And it's a closed book test. So please do not refer to any materials and try to finish it in one sitting. So don't start and stop and go back and come back again and start. No. Try to finish it in one sitting, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Tayyib. So moving on. We talked about the obligatory acts of wudu. Now there are also, in any act of worship actually, not only in wudu, in salah as we'll see, zakat, umrah, hajj, the acts of worship will have obligatory deeds, will also have sunnah deeds, maybe wajib deeds, and so on and so forth. So what are the optional acts of wudu now? So we saw the obligatory acts, which is washing of the hands, the face, the feet, and so on. So optional acts of wudu, and the correct opinion, inshallah, is to say Bismillah. There is a difference of opinion among the scholars. Some scholars say saying Bismillah is required, is wajib, it's fard, and some scholars say it's mustahab, which means it is sunnah. Wallahu alam. I think this is the more stronger opinion. Washing the hands in the beginning, which we did in the beginning, up to the wrist, yeah, the madmada. This is what is sunnah acts, and between the fingers. Washing the mouth and nose 3 times, the istinshaq. This is also sunnah. And that is why we said if you can't do it together, you can kind of separate them, but try to work on it and achieve the sunnah. And then we have washing of the face 3 times. Okay, this is the sunnah. Now, but washing it once is required. It's firm. But washing it 3 times or twice also is a sunnah. Running your fingers through the beard with wet fingers, wet hands. This is a sunnah. So if you have a beard, for example, yeah, and you miss this act, you do not do this, even though you have a beard, your inshallah wudu is still okay, and you can pray inshallah. You get the idea? Washing the right and the left arm including the elbow rather 3 times. So once is fard, obviously. 3 times is the sunnah. Wiping the head, the outer ear with the thumb, the inner ear with the index finger. This is the sunnah. That's why some scholars, who say you need to go with the thumb upwards and downwards. It's permissible if you wish to do that. It's a sunnah. But if just once is sufficient, inshallah. Washing the left foot. This is wrong. Sorry. It should be washing the right foot and then the left foot. Let me correct that. Okay. Apologize for that. Okay, I hope you can see my screen again. All right. So washing the right foot and then the left foot, including the ankles 3 times. That's the sunnah. Once is fard. It's from the ayat we saw earlier. And making the dua after wudu. Yeah. So there is a dua which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us after wudu, which kind of combines the physical and the moral tahara, right? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu an la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu Allahumma ij'alni min at-tawwabin wa ij'alni min al-mutatahhirin. So if you do not know this, kindly memorize it. There is a great reward in reciting this dua after the wudu. Naam. So yeah, there it is on the screen. It's also mentioned in your book. So if you do not know it, and the meaning as well is a beautiful meaning, yani. Especially the second part of it. Allahumma ja'alni min at-tawwabin. Oh Allah, make me from those who turn to you in repentance, because we want to constantly repent for our sins and have them, wiped off or washed off, and make me from those who are purified. So this kind of combines your moral and physical purification. Now, so what are the actions now which invalidate wudu or which break wudu, with which your wudu is broken, and which means you need to make wudu again before praying salah, for example? Before that, we need to understand the principle of fiqh. And this principle of fiqh applies in all areas of fiqh. not only in wudu, in salah, in zakat, any area. What is the principle? That doubt or shubha, yeah, is not overcome by certainty or yaqeen. What do I mean? Or rather, sorry, in English language, yaqeen or certainty. So yaqeen means you're certain of something, right? Is not superseded or abrogated or overcome by shubha, doubt. Clear? Yaqeen, which is certainty, is not overcome or replaced by doubt or shubha. What do I mean by this? Like we said, when we're making wudu, there is a qareen or a shaitan appointed to disturb the wudu by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes we have brothers who get very, very messed up and they have confusion and they allow shaitan to come to them and they're not sure whether did I wash my hand, did I wipe my head, did I do it once? And they keep on going back and forth till they spend like 30 minutes making wudu, which should take you only 2 minutes. 2 to 4 minutes maximum, yeah. Not more than that, inshallah. And they spend 30 minutes. Because they've allowed shubha, which through the waswasa of shaitan, to overcome yaqeen. So for example, if you go into the hammam and you're making wudu, now you wash your hands and you're focusing, you wash your right hand, it's wet. And then you're washing your left hand, it's wet. And then you move on. And now doubt comes to your mind. Did I wash my hand? Did I do my left hand? Did I include the elbow? See, you're certain you washed it, right? You're certain, you're yaqeen. You have yaqeen. You're certain. You saw it, it's washed, it's clean, it's wet. Do not allow shubha to come to you now. Shut the doors to shaitan. Continue with your wudu, make the dua and leave. Alhamdulillah. Clear? The same thing applies to salah. As we will see as we go into salah. Did I pray 2 rakat? Did I pray 1 rakat? Did I make 4 tawaf rounds or 5? Yeah. So you stick with what you're sure of. This is a very, very important principle in fiqh. Barakallahu fikum. Taib. So, what are the things which break your wudu? Awal is what we call hadath asghar. Yeah, these are all of them basically are under this category. We call them hadath asghar, which is minor defilements. You also have something called hadath akbar, which are the major defilements for which you require ghusl, and we'll see this inshallah. It's coming. But for now, we're focusing on wudu. All right. So these things which break your wudu are all in a category called as hadath asghar. First of all, anything which comes out of your private parts. For the Muslim and the Muslimah. Anything which comes out of your private parts. Like breaking wind, passing urine, feces, and so on and so forth. Now, this will break your wudu. It's very important that these are the only things which break your wudu. Anything beyond this will not break your wudu because we need evidence. And we have evidence for all of these. Number 2, deep sleep or loss of consciousness. So, when we say deep sleep, the scholars define it as a state when a person doesn't know what's happening around him. He's into deep sleep. He's not aware of the surroundings, what's going on around him. He's lost that. He's not aware of that. That is what we mean by deep sleep. Or if a person loses consciousness completely, like going into a coma or something like this, he loses consciousness, this will break the wudu. But a small, sometimes you're sitting, especially Yom al-Jum'ah, and the khatib is giving the khutbah. You see many brothers kind of dozing off. Yeah. So if it's just a small, what I mean, the eyelids, they close, but immediately he wakes up, he opens up, he's aware of what's going on. Yeah. This, inshallah, will not break your wudu. But somebody is sleeping, he's snoring for 5 minutes, khalas, his wudu is broken. He has to get up, go make wudu and come back. Barakallahu fikum. And it doesn't matter whether you're leaning against a wall or you're not leaning against a wall. These things do not matter. There is no evidence for this. Number 3, touching the private parts. All right. Again, here the scholars have differed. Scholars of fiqh have differed. Some scholars say the wudu is broken only when you touch your private parts passionately. Some scholars say no, even just touching them without any passion will also break your wudu. Okay, so Allahu Alam, Allahu Alam, you may want to take the latter opinion to be safe. Yeah, so the scholars or rather the people who compiled this book, excuse me, have combined these two and said that okay, touching the private parts without a barrier will break your wudu. So, for example, you're making wudu, yeah, and you're wearing your inner garments or whatever jockey or joggers or whatever you wear, yeah. So you have your private parts covered. So as you're making your wudu, you happen to touch your private part, but there is a cloth now. There is a cloth, the garment, yeah. Inshallah, this will not break your wudu. Inshallah, wallahu alam. Barakallahu fikum. But if there's nothing and you touch, it's better to repeat it, inshallah. Wallahu alam. Because the scholars have differed greatly on this point. And finally, brothers, eating camel's meat. It's very tasty. I love camel's meat, but the point is it breaks your wudu. Now, why Ustad? Allahu alam. Scholars have given various reasons, but we don't have a sahih evidence supporting that. Now, Rasulullah once he ate camel's meat, he made his wudu again. But when he ate the meat of lamb or sheep, he did not. Yeah, barakallahu fikum. So these are the only 4 things which break your wudu. Nothing else will break your wudu. If somebody claims something else will break the wudu, they need to bring evidence. We need evidence from the Quran or the Sahih Sunnah. Barakallahu fikum. I hope this is clear, inshallah. Taib. Okay, I know you may have questions. We'll come to that. We'll try to give you some time or in the Q&A, inshallah. Please write them down if I cannot answer your questions again. Again, for some brothers who came in late, let me quickly go back. Sorry. Let me go back to, where was I? Yeah, because we mentioned this, you will have a test this week for the brothers who joined late. The test will open from after the class, and it will close on 16th of Shaban, which is 19th of March. Barakallahu fikum. And that's the link for the test. I will also post it on the groups, on the Telegram, and hopefully, inshallah, on the WhatsApp group as well. But that's the link for the test. Inshallah, it's easy. You know, for those who join late, just to inform you that. Barakallahu fikum. Okay, coming back to, where was I? Yes. Now, so these are the things which break your wudu. Clear? Type. The next section, which I want to also cover up today, inshallah, hopefully, is wiping over the socks. Someone asked a question about this, I think, the last class or the class before that. So is it permissible to wipe over socks in wudu? Brothers, we need to keep in mind that we are Muslims. And when we say we are Muslims, we follow our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whatever he revealed, whatever he brought to us, Samyana wa atana. We hear and we obey. Whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. Without using our meager and small brain in the matter. Because this is revelation. This is not physics and maths and chemistry where you can try to use your brain and analyze matters. This is revelation. Why? And to understand revelation, we need revelation. We do not understand it with our brains. Barakallahu fikum. Taib. So, and when Rasulullah did something, and we have evidences that he did this thing, and from the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, the best of generations, better than you and me, it is mentioned in the books of Hadith, and it is allowed to do this, khalas, alhamdulillah. Why do we have to fight? Why do we have to argue? Why do you have to say, no, it is only for this and this context and that context, when there is no evidence to say that? It is a general ruling. The matters of fiqh, again, you will understand as you go through fiqh. Another principle is that when there is a generality, when there's something general mentioned, yeah, you do not make exceptions unless you have evidence for that exceptions. Clear? Why am I saying all of this? Why am I saying all of this? Because we have many Muslims who do not believe in this. They say we do not want to wipe over the socks. We want to remove the socks and wash the feet. Or my socks is stone, or my socks is not made of leather, or my socks is made of, I don't know, something else. Yeah. So they are making assumptions now for which there is no evidence. All right. So, and this hadith yani, of wiping over the socks, yani, mashallah, yani, it is mutawattir. Mutawattir is, you studied in level 1 in hadith, I think. It's one of the highest levels of hadith. So it is a category of sahih, which is very, very strong, very strong. The Quran is mutawattir. The revelation of the Quran, which comes to you and me, how did it come to you and me? Through the same Sahaba. And that chain which brought the Quran is mutawattir. There are more than 70 Sahaba, may Allah have mercy upon all of them, who narrated the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at various points, wiping over his socks. Barakallahu feekum. And the riwayat, which are in this context, use the words kuf, use the word jawrab. Various words are used to denote socks. Because kuf is one type of socks, jawrab is something else, rags also, just rags. And we have a battle of rags which the Sahaba fought because they were wearing socks which tore. Or see, again, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, unlike you and me, they didn't have 10 pairs of socks in their house. They just had one pair for the whole year sometimes. So in this battle, they were walking on foot and these tore. And to the extent that they just had to wrap rags over their middle part of the foot, leaving the toes exposed and the heel exposed. And they wiped over this. So there are many hadith. If you open the books of hadith, you will find many of these. So the point I'm trying to get at, brothers, is that once we know something is sahih in the sunnah, we take it. Whether my father agrees to it, or my mother agrees to it, or my grandfather agrees to it, or my masjid imam agrees to it, my madhab agrees to it. I respect all of them. I love all of them, but not over Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is our prophet. My father is not my prophet. My mother is not my prophet. My grandfather is not my prophet. Rasulullah is my prophet. He was the one sent to guide us. So we need to get this ideology of thinking right in our minds. Whom are we following? And why are we following? Barakallahu fikum. Your book talks about one hadith out of, yani, there are more than 94 Sahaba narrating various hadith through various chains. We just put one as an example in your book. But you're free to go open the books of hadith you have in your house or the internet and look up this bab or chapter. Mughira bin Shu'bah radiallahu an, he said that I was with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was making wudu. I bent to remove his kuf. Kuf is a type of leather socks. I bent to remove his kuf. Because the Sahaba radiallahu anh, they would always be at the service of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They would always hang around him, waiting for him to say something, to obey him, to jump to serve him, all for the ajr, Likewise, Mughira bin Shu'bah radiallahu anh, he was waiting, excuse me, and when Rasulullah reached the part of, washing his feet, he was going to remove his socks. Rasulullah said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, leave them as it is, as I had put them in a state of tahara. So he wiped over them. Rawaha Bukhari or Muslim. Many other riwayat talk about jawrab, which is not a leather socks. Jawrab is just a socks. It can be made of any material type. Also, we talked about the rags, for example. So, but we saw a condition here. Rasulullah, what did he say? He said, leave them as I had put them on in a state of tahara. So, there are some conditions for this. Before a person can jump and start wiping over his socks in wudu, there are certain shurut or conditions he has to fulfill. What are those? Number one, that the person or the Muslim or the Muslimah for that matter has put on the socks in a state of tahara. What do I mean? So for example, let's say I wake up for Fajr now, and I make my wudu and everything. So now I'm pure, and it's cold. Let's say it's winter time. So I'm in wudu now. I already made my wudu. I washed my feet and everything. Now, so before going to the masjid, I wore socks. I wore socks. Right. So I went and I prayed. Alhamdulillah. I came back home, and there's still some time for me to go to work, for example. So I thought I'll take a nap. So my socks are still on. I'm wearing my socks. I went to sleep. Clear, Wada? You're following me? I went to sleep. And we said sleep, and deep sleep, for example, will break your wudu. I got up after an hour, and it's getting late for work. So I get up, I get dressed, I have some breakfast, and I leave. Am I now in a state of wudu? No, I'm not. Because I slept. My wudu broke automatically. I went to work and I'm working, and now it's time for dhuhr. So I need to make wudu now because my wudu is no longer there. I'm not in a state of tahara. So I go to the hammam, I wash my hands, my face, everything. Now it comes to the point of washing the feet, I wipe over the socks. Why? Because I had put them on, if you remember, before going for Fajr, in a state of tahara. I was in wudu when I wore them. So now I can wipe. Same example. I get up for Fajr. It's summertime, so I don't wear my socks. I go pray Salah and come back, and I sleep. So now my wudu is broken. I get up after sleeping, get ready, get dressed, wear my socks now, because I need to wear shoes. I wear my socks and shoes and go to work. So now I put on my socks, not in a state of wudu. I was not in wudu because I broke my wudu when I was sleeping. But I have to go to work, so I got dressed and I wore my socks and shoes and I went to work. Now it's the time for dhuhr. Can I now wipe over my feet? I cannot. Sorry, wipe over my socks? I cannot. Because I wore them when I was not pure. You get the point? You get the difference between the two examples? Barakallahu fikum. So this is the first condition, that the socks have been worn in a state of tahara. Second condition, the socks must be free from najasa. So there should not be any impurity on the socks, visible impurity. Yeah, like urine, feces, stuff like this. Yeah, najasa should not be there, impure substances. In this case, you cannot wipe. Even if you have worn it over in a state of wudu, even if it was worn in a state of wudu, but now you put some impurity on it, you cannot wipe over it, you have to remove it and wash. Number 3, the socks in and of itself, the material of the socks should be halal. So I can't wear socks of silk in a state of tahara and wipe over them because they're made of silk, and silk is haram for the men of the ummah in dunya. Number 4, the socks which I wear for wiping over them should cover the feet, including the ankles. So they should go above the ankles a bit. Because these days you have these, I don't know, the sports shock socks or something like that, where it's cut. It doesn't go on the leg. It covers the feet, but it goes. There's a nice U cut below the ankle. This you cannot wipe over. How did the scholars get this condition? They made qiyas from washing of the feet. Because when you wash your feet, you go above the ankles, right? You include the ankles. So likewise, when you wipe over the socks, you have to include the socks should be above the ankles. They can't be below the ankles, in which case you cannot wipe over them, another condition. And finally, the wiping itself, there's a stipulated time in the Sharia for how long I can wipe. Starting with the first wipe. Not starting from when I put on the socks, no. Starting with the first wipe. So for people who are residents, who are living in the city, okay? So if you're a resident, you're living in your city, and you wore the socks, it's cold, for example, and you want to wipe, your duration of wiping is 1 day and 1 night, 24 hours. starting, and the clock starts from the first wipe. The clock starts from the first wipe. If you exceed 24 hours, you can no longer wipe. You have to remove and wash your feet. For travelers, people who are traveling, and this is how the deen of Allah is so easy and so flexible and so, what do you call it, user-friendly, subhanAllah. 3 days and 3 nights, 72 hours. Because you're traveling, you may have various difficulties. So Allah has permitted for you up to 72 hours you can wipe. What do I mean by this last point, number 5? The same example of Salatul Fajr, for example, So Salatul Fajr, I wore my socks, which are made of non-silk material, like cotton or something. They're above the ankles, no najasa. I wore them in a state of wudu. I prayed Fajr, came back, I slept, my wudu broke. I went to work. For Dhuhr, now I'm going to wipe. I can wipe because I wore them in a state of tahara. This is my first wipe. Though I wore them for Fajr, my first wiping happens when? Dhuhr. That's my first wipe. And I'm a resident, I'm living in that city. So from that point, 24 hours I can wipe, which means until the next Dhuhr, as long as I do not remove the socks, I can keep wiping. The same pair of socks, I can keep wiping. I can wipe for Asr, I can wipe for Maghrib, I can wipe for Isha, for next Fajr and Dhuhr. So 24 hours I can wipe. Likewise, if I'm traveling, 72 hours. Wada, clear, type. I know you have questions, so please hang on. Let's see if you have time. Otherwise, we'll do them in the Q&A. This is just a repeat of what we talked about. I'm going to skip this. Okay, what are the things which break your wiping cycle or invalidate wiping? If you remove the socks, for example, the same example, Fajr, I wore the socks, I'm in a state of tahara. I slept, my wudu broke, I woke up, I went to work. Before Dhuhr time, something was itching me in my leg. In my shoe, I feared that something got inside, maybe some insect or something dangerous, maybe it hurts me. So I removed my shoe and removed my socks, or even one socks, to check what is happening. Alhamdulillah, nothing was there, just some itching. I wore back my socks. Now when Dhuhr comes, I cannot wipe. Even though I wore it in a state of tahara. But what happened? I removed my socks to check what is itching me. So that is broken. I cannot wipe now. I have to wash my feet for Dhuhr. Wada? Clear? It may be a bit confusing at first, but don't worry, we will repeat it, inshallah. We'll repeat it if you don't understand. Number 2, any acts which require ghusl. So if you approach your spouse, if you have a wet dream, in these cases, you require what is called ghusl. We'll talk about this because now you're in a state of hadath akbar, the major defilement. In this case, you have to remove your socks. You cannot wipe anymore because you're going to do ghusl. You're going to wash your body, including your feet. So that automatically destroys the wiping or the cycle of wiping. And finally, the end of the permitted time limit. So beyond 24 hours for a resident, I cannot wipe. Beyond 72 hours for a resident, I cannot wipe. Wada, clear? Type. So we'll stop here now and see if you have any questions, inshallah, quickly. Hang on. Assalamu alaikum, Ustad. What is the ruling on reading Ayat al-Kursi after wudu? Is it authentic hadith? No. There is nothing from the sunnah, authentic sunnah, that after wudu, one should recite Ayat al-Kursi. No. Ayat al-Kursi is recited after salah, after the 5 fara'id, before sleeping, for example, in ruqya, for example, but after wudu, no. Wallahu alam. What is tahara? Tahara is a state of purity. Tahir is someone who is pure. Tahara is a state of purity. So someone who is in the state of wudu or through ghusl is state of purity. This is tahara. Wallahu alam. Assalamu alaikum, Ustad. Is taking wudu in the bathroom with saying Bismillah correct or not? Yes. So, like we said, the basmala or saying Bismillah, before the wudu, the scholars differed. Some scholars said it is wajib. Some scholars said it is mustahab. Either way, okay? Inside the hammam, because this is a dirty place where shayateen reside and so on, it is not appropriate to mention the name of Allah. But it depends on how your hammam is, yeah, because nowadays in modern houses or modern bathrooms, you have let's say one section where there is a basin, the water where the taps or the faucets where you can make your wudu, and there's another section maybe with a curtain, maybe behind a wall, where you do your thing, yeah, the WC, whatever. So in this case, there is a separation, there's a barrier. In this case, you can say Bismillah. But if there is no barrier like this, it's all one common area, the scholars differed. They said, some scholars said you say Bismillah before entering the hammam. Assuming you're going for wudu, you say Bismillah and then you enter the hammam. Some scholars said if you're inside the hammam already and you say Bismillah in your heart, you don't say it loudly, but in your heart. Wallahu alam. Barakallahu. Okay, too many questions. Hang on, brothers. Okay. Brother Yusuf, you have a question on the mic? You want to use the mic or is it the same question?
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
Sir, while invalidates, while doing the wudu, first we need to have the intention, right?
Nah.
Without intention.
Now we talked about this in the last class, right? The niyyah.
Yeah,
yes.
The niyyah as well as the order wise we need to do the wudu.
Did you attend last class, brother?
Yeah, I attend, but while doing that condition of invalidate the wudu, that points are didn't mention, so I got confused. That's what
No. See, okay, you're getting mixed up between invalidators and shurut. Okay, invalidators is something which break your wudu. 4 points only. Okay. 4 points only. Okay. This is when you're already in wudu. So you made your niyyah, you said Bismillah, you made wudu, now you're in wudu. What breaks your wudu are those 4 points.
Okay, sir.
Are they clear? Barakallahu. Okay, hang on.
Yes,
can we make wudu without wearing clothes? Yes. Okay, there's another misconception amongst Muslims. They think that they cannot make wudu naked. No, you can. This is not a condition. You can be stark naked, absolutely no clothes on your body in the hammam. You can make wudu. But just make sure you don't touch your private parts, because if you take the opinion of that breaking your wudu, it may break your wudu. But yes, you can make wudu, inshallah, without any clothes, no problem. Allahu alam. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. Under what condition can you pray? Can you wear your shoes to pray? Okay, hold on to that. I will come to that because it requires some time to answer. The Muhammad Mubin, you have a question on the mic?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Ustaz, regarding wiping, is it also applying to the turbans or safas? Or is it only for?
Nah, jazakallah khair. Okay, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to wipe also at times over his turban. Okay, but the turban which he wore, one end of it would come below his jawline. You know the jawline, the beard. It would come below and go back up. In this case, you can wipe. Yes, inshallah. Wallah.
Okay, thank you, Ustaz.
Okay, brother Muhammad's iPhone, I will come to you. I know how you have a question about the shoes, because this will take some explanation. We're performing ghusl. Ghusl, we are coming, brother Atik. We didn't do ghusl still. We're going to do ghusl, inshallah, maybe next week. And this is when we will discuss. Write down your question and I will answer it next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Ustaz. Wa alaikum assalam. How long will the wudu stay as soon as we remove the socks? Okay, brother Abdul Rahim and the other brothers, removing your socks is going to break your wiping cycle. It will not break your wudu. Let me give you an example. So I prayed Fajr. I wore my socks. I'm in wudu now. Okay, I wore my socks in a state of wudu after Fajr. Now I said something's itching me, right? Something's itching me. I didn't sleep. With this example, I did not sleep. I'm still in wudu. I went straight to work early in the morning. Something was itching me in my foot, so I removed my socks. This will not break my wudu. I'm still in wudu. But I cannot wipe the next time I want to make wudu. I hope it's clear. So I removed my socks. I'm still in wudu now. If Dhuhr Salah comes, I can go and pray Dhuhr, no problem. I put back my socks and pray Dhuhr, no problem. Because my wudu is still there. I didn't do anything to break my wudu. But if I remove my socks, yeah, and my wudu after this breaks, I passed wind, or I went to the bathroom, I passed urine, it broke. Now I cannot wipe over the socks. I have to wash my feet. I hope it's clear, Brother Abdul Rahim. Wallahu alam. Jazakallah khair wa jazakallah. Brother Syed Jafar Ali, you have a question?
Assalamu
Walaikum
alaikum.
assalam wa barakatuh.
Yes, I have a question. Like once after we remove the socks, and if we wanted to wear it again, obviously we have to do wuzu to wipe it
No.
over.
Again, hang on, Brother Jafar.
Yeah.
When you remove your
Yes.
socks, you are not breaking your wudu. If you are in wudu,
Yes, I understand.
you still have wudu. You can
yes,
put back your socks and pray, no problem.
Yeah, but the wiping condition will not be allowed.
Yes, wiping. If you break your wudu after that. Because wiping is
Okay.
what? Wiping is for wudu.
That's right. Yes. No, if
Yes.
I break the wudu, yes, the wiping will not be allowed. Then again, I have to make the wudu,
Exactly.
and then we have the provision to wipe it over it. Yes.
Nah.
So, is there any any clarity on, like, because some people have very sweaty foot, so
Sorry, some people
the
have
socks
what?
get dirty,
Sorry?
sweaty. The
Sweaty,
foot,
sweaty.
they have a lot of, yeah.
Okay.
So how do we consider if the socks is impure? Apart
No.
apart
See,
from
sweat,
if there's
body
movement.
sweat or perspiration is not najasa. This is not najasa. So it's okay.
No, I understand that, but is there any ruling on that specific?
No. You can
thing
have
as
a
well?
sweaty foot, a
Okay.
non-sweaty foot. It doesn't affect your wiping. Wallah.
Okay, so we can use those socks.
Yes,
Yeah,
Barakallah. Okay. Okay, type. It may smell a bit, which could be a problem in the masjid, for example. But otherwise, from a ruling perspective, no. Barakallah.
Okay.
Barakallah. Okay, hang on. Assalamu alaikum, Ustad. If I wear socks on a day and do wiping, and within the 24 hours, I wash my feet. So next day, can I wear the socks and do wiping on another day too? Like many number of times. Brother Syed Yusuf, if you can use the mic, I didn't understand the question, please. Jazakallah. Brother Khaja Faizuddin, you have a question?
Assalamu alaikum, Ustad.
Walaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Ustad, how to wipe the feet from the finger of the top or bottom?
Naam, Jazakallah khair. Subhanallah, I forget to show that slide. It's here. Next slide. Yeah, so this is how wiping is done. Jazakallah khair for reminding me. So you use your right hand for the right foot, the left hand for the left foot. Again, the right hand for the right foot, the left hand for the left foot. You start wiping from the toes area, moving upwards towards your ankle, as shown in the picture there. You start wiping from the toes, moving upwards towards your ankle. The right hand for the right foot, left hand for the left foot. And the correct opinion, inshallah, is to do this simultaneously, not one after the other, simultaneously, inshallah. Wallahu alam. Again, the right hand for the right foot, left hand for the left foot, starting from the toes, moving upwards towards your ankles. Barakallahu feekum.
There is no we cannot do from the down, huh?
No. Ali ibn Abi Talib,
Some people will do.
You know Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anh, the fourth
Yes,
of the Muslims. He
Yes.
gave a beautiful statement regarding this point. He was making wudu once and he wiped over the socks. And he said, if our deen was about logic, we would be commanded to wipe below the socks rather than the top. So our deen is based on revelation, on following commands and staying away from prohibitions. So he said, if it is about logic, because usually when you walk, the bottom gets dirty. So using logic and our brains, which we try to do many times, we would have to wipe below, but no, we are commanded to wipe on top. This is the sunnah. Sami'ana wa ata'na. Barakallahu feekum. Jazakallah khair. Okay, brothers, I don't have much time. Hang on. Maybe just one last question. I know some brothers have still questions. Please write them down. We will answer them, inshallah, in the future. And brother Syed Yusuf Karama, I couldn't understand the question. Please use the mic. Maybe next time, next class, inshallah. As I remember, Ibn Uthaymin words point can pray. People can pray even with removal of socks where feet have been purified before wearing and still not breaking his wudu. If he rewear his socks, right? Yes. Okay, brothers, I think you're getting confused with what breaks your wudu and what breaks the cycle of wiping. These are two different things. Barakallahu feekum. Now, so like this brother's asking a question, right? You're in wudu. You removed your socks. You're in wudu. You removed your socks. Okay. Now you can pray the next salah barefoot, or you can put back your socks and also pray. No problem. You're still in wudu. The removal of the socks will not break your wudu. You can wear back your socks and still go and pray because your wudu is still there. Wada, clear? Wallahu a'lam. Can we go to the washroom while wearing socks? Yes, you can, but be careful if you're going to wipe over them, for example, because if any najasa gets over them, this is a problem. So it depends on how the bathroom is, how clean it is, and how you answer the call and so on and so forth. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. If you are already in wudu, renewing it again is recommended or innovation? Okay, there are some madahibs who say before every salah you have to make wudu, even if you're in wudu. But inshallah, the more stronger opinion and based on evidence is that when you're in wudu, you're in wudu, khalas. You don't have to repeat it again because you're already in wudu. What is the point making wudu when you're still in wudu? Wudu is made because you break your wudu. You want to come back into the state of tahara. But you're already in the state of tahara, you're in wudu. So why are you making another wudu? So Allahu alam, I don't want to give a ruling on that. Allahu alam, Allahu alam. If you go to tahara, do we need to wipe socks or do we need to wash legs? If you go to tahara. Brother Mujib, I didn't understand the question. Maybe you can use the mic next class, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum. Okay, barakallahu fikum. Jazakumullah khairan. We'll stop for now and we'll continue inshallah next class. Don't forget the test. You have a test. The link will be open, inshallah, and you have time until end of what did I say? Let me put back this slide again. Sorry. I think the other ustad has come. Let me finish this. So this is your test. The link, the deadline ends 16th of Shaban, 11 p.m. Saudi time. 11 p.m. Barakallahu fikum. There is no extension. Please don't ask me to open the link again. I will not open the link again. Barakallahu fikum. 16th Shaban, 11 p.m. is the deadline. Barakallahu fikum. We will continue your questions as well if you have time next class. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Akhir ad-da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.